What's up guys, welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. This is actually video number 3 of the series of me being in the Czech Republic to do my competition, the PEPA Grand Prix. So I'm leaving you right here where I left you. Actually, we're starting here where I left you last time in video number 2, where I was warming up before going on stage. So I'm doing some push-ups here, doing some regular exercises to go on stage to do the prejudging, the comparison with the other athletes. There are 13 different athletes, and the category that I'm in is the 90 plus category, which is basically the heaviest category there is. It's kind of weird because there were a lot of guys that were under 100 kilos, and normally they do until 100 kilos and above 100 kilos, but this time they decided to put them all in one group, so you will see that right now.
Nad 90 kilo. A 160, pojďte dopředu, všichni ostatní prosím, pojďte dozadu. 2 kroky dozadu, 2 step back. 2 steps back.
Alright, so as I said, there are 13 athletes, bodybuilders on stage, and I am numerically one of the first 4 guys to start posing. So this is not the first call out, but simply in numerical order, the guys who are supposed to compare right now. So what you see right here is the compulsory poses, the mandatory poses. We're not doing actually the quarter turns because we're only doing the regular poses, I guess, because otherwise it would take a very long time to compare everybody, because they actually do compare here more often than on the Mr. Olympia, for example. But what I wanted to talk to you about is actually how I compare to these guys. In this back pose, you can see that what I mentioned before in my Instagram post, and by the way, follow me at WESLEY VISSERS if you don't follow me already. But in my post I mentioned that both my hamstrings and my back thickness are a weak point when I compare myself to the mass monsters you see before you. So this is an excellent competition for me to actually see what areas of my physique I need to improve on.
Thank you, gentlemen. Back in line, please. 162, 165.
So now everyone has been compared. I didn't show you everyone, of course, because otherwise it will be a very long video, but this is the first call out. The first 5 guys, the top 5. So obviously I was very happy to be in this first call out. Not in every competition the first call out means that you're actually in the top 5, but I was pretty confident that I was definitely in there. Beforehand I had no idea who would be competing in this competition, but looking backstage and looking at the athletes I saw there, I did think I had a decent chance. So on the front poses, I am pretty much comparable to the other guys. Some guys are a little more conditioned in the legs especially. My upper body is pretty much the conditioning that it needed to be. The fullness in the upper body and the front is there as well, especially in the chest and the arms. But right here in the side chest pose, the upper body is great, but the lower body, especially the hamstrings and the conditioning in the legs, needs to be improved in order to compete with these guys. And now as you start doing the back double bicep, you gotta look at the space in between the athletes. That wasn't really that well. I don't like having to push people away when doing a certain pose, but at the same time you gotta show the judges and the crowd that you are confident enough to stand your ground. So it's kind of you know, a two-way split there. At one hand, I don't like pushing those guys away. It's unprofessional in my opinion, but at the other hand, you don't want to look weak and stand behind the guys, if you know what I mean. And this is one of my favorite poses because I was the only one who was able to actually do a vacuum pose, which is something that a lot of people noticed and talked to me about it afterwards. So that was a very nice thing to hear.
157, 166, 167. Come on, Jimmy!
And right here, the second call out is posing. When you're in the back, you always gotta look ready. You cannot just be standing there like there's nothing going on. You always gotta look ready, because I did look at the judges and they did look a lot at the guys in the back, almost sometimes more than the guys in the front, to see who was actually still with his head in the game, because that's what it's all about, not just when you're posing in the front. And this is the free posing round, which usually happens at the end of a comparison like this. I was of course trying to do some classic poses, showing that I'm a classic bodybuilder. At least I'm aiming to be the best classic bodybuilder I can be. And at this time I wasn't aware yet that my back thickness was lacking in comparison to the other guys, because during the free posing round you kind of want to show your strengths to the audience and the judges and not your weaknesses. So I really shouldn't have shown the back that much, but as I said, I didn't know that was a weakness compared to the other guys, but it was a great learning experience for sure. And in the meantime, we went back to the hotel and we actually had to wait a couple of hours, and in those hours we got to hear whether you were in the top 6 or not, and luckily I was. So right here we are going downstairs with this very state-of-the-art elevator right here, and we're actually going to walk to the venue once more to do the individual posing round. So literally just walked out of the hotel, and almost 1 or 2 minutes later I would be arriving inside the theater. And look at this, it's a very nice neighborhood for sure, real as I remember the Czech Republic to be, because I did went on a holiday here a lot of years ago, but it was still nice to see that it hasn't changed that much. Here we are walking into the theater, walking through the hallways and corridors to eventually arrive backstage. We arrived about an hour before I had my individual posing round to be able to eat something, to be able to check my tan, to really spray it again, because in the previous video I mentioned I got a Pro Tan spray service right here, and all day you were able to get it checked and get it redone, and that was a very nice thing for sure. I actually did get it redone for the individual posing round, and as you can see, all the walls are plastered to prevent all the tanning from smearing the walls, because once it's on there you cannot get it off. And right now I'm backstage, but it's a lot busier, so we weren't able to get to our space we were before. But anyway, we're about to start my posing round.
Musím říct, že kategorie je na 90, ale všech 6 finalistů mají na 100 kg. Pavel Šernál měl 103 a Pavel Vodík 108. A teď, přátelé, taky ze 109,4 kg přichází velmi mladý. Ale to se dobře dívejte. Takhle vypadal Arnold, když byl mladý. A tenhle ten kluk vypadá fantasticky. Wesley Vissers, Luxemburg. Holland, tady je chyba, ano, já to vím. Holland, slovanský kluk. styčný. Congratulations. A teď přichází Tomáš Kornalevský z Polska.
Alright, I was pretty happy with how the posing went. I did look at the footage a couple of times, and a couple of poses I will replace with different ones because they will fit me better. You always gotta display your strengths in your posing round, but always gotta experiment because you will not know what your strengths or weaknesses are until you are on a disc lighting under a stage lighting. So this is the final comparison between the top 6. And we're doing the compulsory poses once more, the mandatory poses, the front double bicep, the front lat spread right here, the side chest, and I gotta say I like how the classical version that I'm doing right there looks, but as I mentioned in the previous video, I had to angle myself down a little bit so the judges can see the thickness in the chest. And once more, look at the guys next to me, how they respond to to the back double bicep, especially the guy to my right. You know, everyone wants to show their best self, and sometimes it can get a little heated, but I don't like to take part in that. But anyway, we continue the poses. The side tricep, my upper body is pretty strong, but again, the lower body, the separation simply needs to be there. In order for me to get that, I need hamstring mass and more conditioning. However, with the abs and thighs, I am pretty happy with the total package, except of course the conditioning in the legs needs to be improved for the total package to look better.
PEPA, 39. ročník. Martin Lešnar, Brno!
Alrighty guys, we arrived at the award ceremony. Usually at the award ceremony I am not that nervous, but this time I did feel it. I at least wanted to be in the top 3 or top 4, really depending on how the other guys looked, but I have to say at least 3 of these guys looked really good in terms of mass, conditioning and proportions, and so I was very happy to at least have place number 4, which you're about to hear. At the same time, of course, I was a little disappointed to get place number 4, because you know, you always want to be in the top 3 because those are the official placings, but at the same time I was also happy by all the comments I received from the audience and from the organizer. Right here, he's saying a lot of kind words to me, saying that he really liked my physique, a really pleasing physique, and also the guy in orange right here saying he really liked the way that I posed and the way my physique looked. So getting comments like that and getting the applause I got during my individual posing round really means a lot during competitions like this. And I have to say, the people that won, the 3 guys that landed above me, definitely deserved to win. All 3 of them were more conditioned and had more mass, for example, in the hamstrings and the back. I have to say my upper body from the front was pretty good. You can see that right here. Very comparable to the other guys. And it was a very great experience to be competing at the Grand Prix PEPA in Czech Republic. Okay guys, I've been home for about a week right now actually. Well, it's been a week since the contest. And I decided to do another contest for if you didn't know, and that is about 3 weeks from this very moment, on November 26th. And the reasoning for that is because I didn't peak at this show that you just saw in this video. This was really a learning experience for both me and my coach, and we're going to use these lessons to actually peak at the show in 3 weeks in terms of conditioning. Right after that show, I will go into a lean bulk and work on my weak points, such as the hamstrings, the back thickness, and some triceps, of course. They weren't as much as a weak point during the poses, in my opinion, compared to the hamstrings and the back thickness. So I will be showing you guys exactly how I will improve those points, and I'm so confident that I will improve them and increase the flow of my physique. I will also practice my vacuum more often. I decided to only do the vacuum during the abs and thighs pose, but from now on, and I will do this in 3 weeks, I will do the vacuum at least a lot more during my individual posing round and during the front double bicep. I of course also did it during the side chest, but it's not as visible when I'm doing it right there. But anyway guys, this is something that I learned a lot from. And even though I've been doing this for 10 years, bodybuilding, and I've been doing competitions for 4 years, there's still so much that I have to learn, and I love taking you with me on this journey to become better. And at the same time, I hope you guys are learning a lot as well about yourself and about the mistakes and things I do well that I'm doing. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to stay golden.